obviously not the result that we wanted. Bede is obviously one of the more difficult players to guard. I thought we actually, the beginning of the game, it's tough when he's not dribbling, he's stationary, and it's hard to help, but I thought we settled in and did a few things. Anything that you do over a consistent period of time, he's capable of figuring it out because he's so skilled. I think we need to continue to emphasize our defensive rebounding. There was a point in the first half, I think, when we were getting stops, and regardless of our size down on the back line, we have to do our best to get into bodies and come up with those rebounds, because it allows us to get out in transition and get some easy baskets, which is really important to us.
Quin, I was going to ask about the offensive rebounding for Philly, but when they're kicking the ball out, when you guys try to crash the glass and they're finding those open shooters, how do you guys kind of rotate out to make sure that you're eliminating those second chance threes?
Yeah, that's probably one of the more difficult plays. You see that really across the league, and people emphasize it. We try to do it, call them daggers, just put it in their head. When someone that gets that rebound has an angle, they'll go up a lot of times. If you're inside them and, they're getting the board, it's an easy kick out. And particularly when you're, once you get down there, there's really no man orientation. So it becomes a really difficult play to guard. The way you guard it is by coming up with the rebound.
And, Coach, despite the fourth quarter, 6 turnovers, only had 7 through the first 3 quarters. How happy are you with your team's security of the ball and limiting those live ball situations, getting the runouts for your guys on getting the defense?
I thought our transition defense was better, but as you said, live ball turnovers are really hard to defend against. The other thing that's hard to defend against is when you drive the ball. You just don't have floor balance, and against someone like Maxey that pushes it so well, and it's tough. But we did do a better job taking care of the ball. There's a few hot spots, so to speak, where we find ourselves in a situation that becomes a higher probability, and a lot of teams are really compressing the paint. We need to keep our feet and fake and do a little bit more in those situations, because it's tough if someone gets a hand on the ball when they're collapsed like that and we're spaced. Usually it's tough. Those are usually turnovers, and we had some errant ones too, late, as you said, where we didn't make an accurate pass. So it's something we look at and then try to identify where certain guys, if there's something that consistently is happening, that's something, that we watch on film and, raise awareness. And sometimes it's something, it's a physical habit that, someone can address and be better.
You're now 1-1 in the in-season tournament. How much did that play a role in preparation, and how much are you paying attention to the in-season tournament?
We talked about this a little bit, and to be honest, the more I've talked about it and thought about it, the more kind of clarity you get on, the things that are different. I think the level of the game, was going to be competitive regardless of that. I do think as the game progresses, towards the end of the game, regardless of the, your win probability or anything like that, you really want to keep trying to score. And there's a balance there, in the situation they're in. They had a large enough lead where they were likely going to win the game, unless we did something, not miraculous, but something really, really good and got a few steals and hit a few shots. I'm talking about, under 2 minutes in those areas. So I think that's the time you have an opportunity maybe to speed them up. But that's dangerous too, because if you're doing that and you're giving up easy baskets, that doesn't help your point differential. So I think the point differential is something that we'll continue to see, and particularly as we get further along in the tournament, particularly with respect to the wild card situations.
Hey, Coach, we noticed a little bit on the defensive side, the baseline and those backdoor cuts, even going back to the Knicks game. Is that something you guys have picked up on or noticed as coaching staff as well?
Yeah, frankly, it happened. Thompson got us on a couple cuts, the other night as well, and we've got to sink lower. We're too high. When the pick and roll occurs, that weak side, high quadrant defender has to sink down and, take that cutter. It's his job to take the responsibility of the corner three as well. And that's a specific area where, we need to be better. But it's not hard to see it when you're getting back. There was one time in particular, the hard thing is you can be good during the possession, and oftentimes, even if they don't hit that player, they put themselves in a tough position on the offensive glass. Tough for us, that is.
Quin, do you have a philosophy when it comes to using your coach's challenge? I know you kind of went to it a little early tonight with
Yeah.
goaltending.
Usually, we could get in the weeds on that. There's times when it's, for a particular player in, a foul situation where it can impact the game, to take something away. Usually, you want to take points off the board or have an opportunity to, put them on one way or the other. Situations that end up in, a change of possession, I think it is a little different now with two challenges. That said, it also impacts your timeouts. That's part of the rule that, as we go through it, they're really looking at it. And then sometimes, there's a morale. There's a certain player that, you want to support a player in a given situation, not at the expense of not having one late. I think having two late, there's a lot of times where people have ended up with both, with their challenges at the end of the game. And that's what you're balancing, really, to have that opportunity to really impact the game late and when you do have a challenge, and then over the course of the game. So finding that balance, the most important thing is if you think you're going to be right, and sometimes that's harder to tell than others. In that one situation, that would have put points on the board. And we're not looking at the monitor. We're trying to size it up, and that would have put 2 points on the board, because it was
Coach, I thought we had.
Call. Mm-hmm. Yeah, sorry.
I thought we had a lot of production from a lot of people on the team. The last two games, DeJounte has been coming on strong later in the game. Is there a way to get him involved earlier in the game?
A lot of times the game can dictate, what's available, and we want DJ to be aggressive. We want a lot of our guys to be aggressive, particularly, running, shooting, getting out in transition, and, being, Hunt had, a walk-up three today that was really in front of our bench. That's, a shot that he works on and I really like, because I think it's, if he has the confidence to take it, which he does, some of those shots you can rebound. I think DJ's catch and shoots. He's been doing that. And then obviously his ability to attack the rim.
Mm-hmm. Quin, did you see what happened with DeAndre with that foul, and did the officials explain anything to you, and what was it like to lose him?
Well, it hurt. He's a big part of what we do on both ends of the floor, and it was unfortunate that was the result. The play itself, you could see how there's frustration when you're laying on the ground. But the rules on that play are more complicated than I want to get into.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
Okay.